Radius Agent, and welcome to another episode of FortuneBuilders.tv. It's a little different today. I was getting ready to record this week's show, and I got a text from Paul that him and his wife Andrea are having their second baby as we speak, or about to. And so what we're doing is an intro for this show this week that I actually going to give you guys some recorded footage of an initial walkthrough that I did for you to learn. And I'm actually going into the hospital right now. If you can see behind me, I'm actually at the hospital walking in with my wife, Deborah, who's right here with me, and going in to hopefully meet my new nephew and Paul and Andrea's new son for the first time. So enjoy this week's episode, and we'll see you live in the studio hopefully next week. All right, enjoy the show, everyone. The things that you need to bring, we'll talk about them before we get there, are important, and you should have these things in your truck at all times. You should have the forms that you need to bring are the property repair estimate sheet, and we're going to fill that out as you do on the initial walkthrough. You need to have a camera, digital camera, to take tons of pictures because you're going to need that for later to show your business partners, to create your scope of work. You want to bring some marketing material, which we actually already have at the house, which is signage, right? A sign to put in the yard, a banner sign if you have one. You want to bring a lockbox, because if you own the house, you're going to set the house up on a lockbox. If you don't own the house, you still want to have these things in your car. A flashlight, right? Flashlight's important because not every house that you go in is going to have power, and you need to be able to see, right? So as we pull up to the house, we're looking at the neighborhood, we're looking at the property, we're getting a feel for what the other houses look like, which is going to help us down the road when we go to comp it. I can see already that there's some properties for sale right on the street, and we'll address those when we go comp out the house. So the first thing we do is we get out and we kind of absorb the neighborhood, and we get a feel for what someone that buys the house is going to look at too, right? So, you know, Craig and I are going to be wearing investor hats, and then we're going to be wearing buyer hats too, because at some point someone's going to buy this house, and we need to know, we want to get a sense of how they're going to feel when they pull up to the house, because this is what they're going to experience. Craig, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so we're out of the car, and Craig's got the paperwork that we need. He's actually got all the comps, and that we're going to drive in a moment. He's actually got a couple of deal analyzers. Deal analyzers because when we pull up numbers before we go look at the house, we're going to create some scenarios on the deal analyzer, which we'll go through, and actually a live training call down the road. And he's got on the top of his sheet a property repair estimate sheet, right? Very important. Craig's been trained well, but what Craig and I are going to do is we're going to walk through the house and we're going to start filling out the property repair estimate sheet from outside in, the way that the property repair estimate sheet is set up. Now, you know, if you come with someone, then you can share the responsibilities. If not, you're going to be doing it by yourself. So you got to kind of put that together for how you're going to go look at a house. The first thing, you know, is we're going to take pictures too. And actually, we're going to stop here and look, because there's actually, you know, we're right across the street from the house, and what we're doing is we're looking at what a buyer is going to experience when they come to the house. And you know, you got a little view up here. It's not a view of the ocean, it's not a view of Mount Rushmore or anything that's going to blow you away, but it's a view, and a view always helps sell a house. So that's something, Craig, that you want to note when you're doing the property repair estimate sheet. You're going to put that down in the notes section. Craig, what do you see anything here that you want to note or share with people?
I'm looking at the roof and I'm thinking in my head that it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Don't necessarily need to maybe put down any budget for the roof repair. Okay. But I'm also looking at the neighbors, and the neighbors look like pretty good neighbors. Yeah. Good neighborhood that I want to live in. So Craig's been trained to look around the neighborhood and see what do other people have, like not only roof but windows. So what we want to look at is we don't want to overfix to a neighborhood. So, you know, Craig made a great point that the roof is in good shape. It's not a brand new roof, but we're looking at it on the outside and it looks decent. There's no tiles peeling. We're going to look inside for leaks. We're also going to look around and see what does every other house have. Does every other house have a new roof? And if it does, then that's something we may want to consider putting into the budget. But every other house in the neighborhood doesn't. There are some that do, but there are some that don't. So we're fine. And we're also going to look at windows here too and determine what do other people have in the neighborhood, and meaning do they have new windows or not, and we're going to make that decision when we go through the house if we need to upgrade our windows. So we walk up to the house again, and we're looking at it as investors and also as buyers. These are how people are going to experience the house. So, you know, right off the bat, we're looking at the driveway, and we're seeing that there's a pretty big slope down to the driveway, which isn't ideal. Okay, so things that come up in our mind are going to be what, Craig? you know, is someone going to want to park their car in here? Are they going to be able to access the driveway? You know, off-street parking in this area is key. You know, Is this a good off-street parking spot for this house? Is this a positive selling feature or a negative selling feature?
How about any other negatives that could be pertaining to the slope of this driveway?
Drainage. Definitely have a lot of water runoff. It's going to be feeding right into the garage and right into the house. So we definitely want to make sure that we inspect any kind of water damage inside the garage or underneath the house, and definitely budget for repairing any kind of drainage or installing some sort of drainage system.
So Craig's right on, and so what we want to do before we even go inside is look at some of these things. And so you walk down and you can tell that this is going to be a spot that water comes down. So I'm walking down, I'm looking, and I see that there's actually a drain right here. Now at this point I don't know anything about it. If it works right, we can test that, but we want to point out and note on the property per estimate sheet that water drainage could be an issue and it needs to be tested and addressed. So, you know, Craig is going to go around and he's going to start filling out the property per estimate sheet just the way that it starts on the form. And we'll go through that on one of the live question and answer calls, but you go down and you fill out your property per estimate sheet just like you walk through the house. So he's going to make notes on the roof. No, he may put a small number there just for patching, you know, a couple $100, but we can see the roof really well. He's going to look at painting. We've got painting here, right?
Stucco.
Stucco.
We have obvious stucco patches.
We have obvious stucco patches. We can see in the corner there. We haven't been around the house yet, but we're going to start making a mental note of that. And we got landscaping. Brown grass isn't finished landscaping. We got a yard that hasn't been maintained, but we do have nice curb appeal, so we've got good frontage, meaning that the house has a good presentation. It looks like a home. You know, I'm looking at this building next door, and it looks like it's probably an apartment of some kind. It doesn't really look like a home from the beginning, from the front, I should say. But our house does, and so do most of the other houses on this street. So, you know, a house has to look and feel like a home when you come to it, and this one does. You know, we could look at possibly putting in a white picket fence, okay, because it's got that kind of house, front of house that you could do that. And honestly, before we even go in, we're going to walk around the whole house and we're going to do that same thing. So I'm not going to do that on every side, but that's what we look at. Stucco, we look at paint, we look at the windows. We start to count the windows from the outside as well. And we start making notes and filling out the property per estimate sheet. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to, if we own the house, we're going to set it up on a lockbox, which we already own this house, so we have it set up on a lockbox. But if this, as our first walk to the house when we own it, we're going to put it on a lockbox so that other people can access the house without us needing to be here. If we don't own the house, then obviously we're not going to be able to do that. We're also going to bring our marketing material. Bam! Now, if you don't have a full-size banner like this, you're not wrong. You should look at getting one, and we'll have resources. We have resources for you on that as well. But if nothing else, you want to bring a for sale sign that you should definitely have, or if nothing else, a bandit sign, right? And this is a for sale sign. Not bad, right? Oversized. You should, if you don't have yet, you should definitely have. This can go staked in the front yard. Now this is a bandit sign. Now this isn't the actual sign we put in the front of the yard because it talks about avoiding foreclosure. It's not really the right message, but this size sign that had, you know, we buy houses cash and your phone number and a way to get a hold of you is important. Basically, at the end of the day, a way for someone to get a hold of you. When they see progress on the house and they like what they see and they want to buy it, they need to be able to call me or call Craig or call you as the owner. I think that's enough on the outside. We'll break down again some more of the questions on a question and answer. But these are the things that you need to be bringing to your projects and have them in your car, because, you know, if you forget and you get to a house and you forget to put the lockbox on it, then you wasted a step. You wasted the ability to send contractors by to quote out the job, and now you got to be back over there. And how valuable is our time, Craig?
Very valuable.
Very valuable. Very valuable.
Quote of the week.